So,
vai, giusto.
I don't know. Okay.
Ti frega. We have good news.
Very good news.
So, you say,
I don't know.
cheers.
I'm sure you can imagine what it is. It's that we're having another baby. We're super happy and disbelieving almost, I guess, that we could be so lucky. Perhaps that sounds strange. You think, oh, people get pregnant all the time, but you know, there are also lots of people with fertility problems. So particularly in my case, I just felt so incredibly grateful and
you're not as young as you look. No.
exactly.
You're not as young as someone says online or, or you look. So it's always not immediate so yeah, we're very happy.
It's been so difficult. Oh my goodness. I'm now in the second trimester. Hang on. Should I have I'm now in the second trimester, and it's felt really difficult lying to you because it's a little bit of a lie of omission, I guess, but it just felt to me unnatural to be speaking with you and filming my life and not telling you about this great big thing, which is the focus of my day and my nights. Just thinking about this thing, and we're discussing it, and oh, it's such a relief to be able to finally share it with you. And so many of you have followed my story from long before Guido, and then us getting together, and the marriage, and Gianfranco and the last pregnancy. So it feels to us like many of you are close friends, and I know that you have been wishing the best for us and wishing that we could get some sleep, and I suppose that's also another reason that I really want to share it with you, is I know a lot of you will probably be very happy for us with this great gift, because it's such a blessing. And basically I've been pregnant almost all this year from the beginning, because I sort of stopped breastfeeding after 14 months, and that's sort of part of the reason that I stopped, so that I would be able to get my cycle back again. And I got pregnant straight away, like the first month after I'd stopped breastfeeding, and I felt so just completely thrilled. I was, I don't know how you felt about it. You sort of...
It was very early. That's why you always keep it private for the first 12 weeks, for the first trimester.
I'm so excited. It's been a few days now, and I just keep stopping myself and thinking, is this real? Is this real? I am dying to do another test. I'll do it tomorrow morning, and also to go and drop off a urine sample so that I can have it be official. And I can't believe I have to wait all the way through a first trimester, but it's going to be good. It's going to be healthy. I'm sure of it. I'm so happy. I did a blood test today, and it came back that I'm pregnant. It's official now. It's a blood test. It's really official. Guido is in Florence. Gianfranco's sleeping. And I am just feeling so excited to be doing this all again. I can't feel anything but happiness and excitement for it all, everything. The birth, everything.
So this is obviously no baby bump, and I'm hoping there's a baby in there. My gosh, I haven't had any nausea, so I'm hoping that it's still forming and growing. I almost want there to be nausea so that I can be sure that something's happening. Anyway, Getting ready. This is going to be out here, hopefully. I started off the year thinking, wow, this is amazing, the start of the year, and this is such a brilliant thing to look forward to. And I think Guido is much more of the feeling that one should wait and not get excited. And for me, I like to just always have hope, because I think particularly if you're the one carrying the child, it helps to be positive and to not, obviously you don't want to rush around and make big life changes in the first trimester, but I also have no qualms about I told a lot of my close friends and family, just because I wanted their support if something didn't go well. And as it happened in the first trimester, there was a miscarriage, and it was really, as I'm sure many of you who have had a miscarriage, you wonder what went wrong, and you're trying to find answers, and then the doctors are sort of just saying there is no answer. It's just a chromosomal, what was it called?
It's normal for first trimester.
Yeah, but because I'd never had a miscarriage before, and the first pregnancy had gone well, I guess I wasn't expecting it, although I don't know. But so that felt quite difficult, because I had to then film to you and then speak to you. And I was wanting to tell you, first of all, I was wanting to tell you I'm so excited. Then I was wanting to tell you, I'm so tired because I'm pregnant. And then I was wanting to tell you I've had this miscarriage, and it's difficult. I don't know what I think about this idea we have of keeping the news secret. It feels like maybe then miscarriage feels like a failure or something shameful, or I don't know, do people not want to feel that disappointed because they have all the friends and family around them getting them hyped up and excited? But I also know that when you're feeling nauseous and tired, it really helps to have the support of people around you, or someone saying, "Yo, look, just hold on a bit more." And I had my best friend, her saying to me, "I'm sure you'll make it through another week. This is great." And she would be encouraging me and saying to hold on and be patient. And the first trimester for me at least is just dragged on so much, because you're just wanting every day to get to that point, that date where they say it's viable, or it's just at least that most of the risk is in the past. And certainly, obviously, miscarriages can still happen in the second trimester, but the first trimester is the most risky. And I guess probably for you, it feels a bit different, or how did it feel?
It's let's say if everybody says first trimester, it's very risky, and it's more possible to have a natural miscarriage. It's in the let's say in the cards of the game.
Yeah.
So definitely what matters is what's happening now, and that was just in the things. So and in the destiny.
Yeah.
So obviously it's disappointing, but at least we saw in the first echography the existence of the fetus, but it wasn't yet formed in a way that you could see the heart and stuff like that. While last week we had this terrifying experience.
It was so
because we went to the close by hospital, a very small one, and we just asked the obstetrician for just to have a quick check, nothing serious, but just to see if everything was going okay. We already had one echography where we saw the heartbeat of whoever is in here, and then after 10 minutes she couldn't see anything.
She saw awful.
The obviously what was there, but she couldn't see the heartbeat.
And then she changed machine.
Yeah, she started.
Then, because first it was on my tummy, then it was internally, and then she changed machine. So it was like 3 different checks, and she was just silent.
That was quite terrifying. I'm like, okay. Now what I say to Kylie, because you were starting to cry. I was like, oh my God, I can't cry because I need to be the one that, let's say, comforts and stuff like that. And then...
Yeah, I just looked up at Guido and he had tears in his eyes and she was just, her face was like this and she was just like, silent.
Oh, I can see the fetus. And then a little foot moved.
Oh my gosh, this foot just kicked out. And I then cried more because it's just such a relief. You just, even though someone tells you, okay, well, don't get excited yet, and just there's a possibility it's not going to be viable, but how can you? It's impossible, especially when, well, for me, especially when you have all these symptoms every day, like all day, you're exhausted, you're nauseous, and you're so aware that something is happening in your body, and then to feel that it may just come to an end, it's terrifying, and yeah, I also think though that it really puts everything into perspective, because we drove back after that ultrasound and we were both just like, oh my goodness,
big relief.
Big relief, and then you think that all the things that you are worrying about, and it just makes you consider that the miracle of having the 2 people come together and be able to make this little embryo, and for it to actually survive and make it through these first 3 months, it's kind of a miracle. So then you just think, wow, how lucky we are to have arrived at this point, and we've certainly...
Yeah, you're right. At a certain point, one has to be also one has to be grateful along the journey. Otherwise, that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't want to be just like, oh, I'm only happy if once I'm holding the baby in my arms, because I like being pregnant, and I enjoy thinking about this creature forming inside me, and fantasizing about the life we could give to this little baby. And so, yeah, for me, that's a part of the process. But I can understand how for some people they feel too vulnerable, you know. So I have some questions which I imagine that you would probably ask. So it's kind of like a bit of a Q&A. Don't bother writing them.
Yeah. No, I'm sure you'll have more questions. But no, I know this audience so well now. I can imagine what a lot of them will be asking. So, did you both always want to try for another child?
Obviously.
Yeah. I think for some couples, they want to see how the first experience goes, but we had always talked about having at least 2 children, no?
Yeah, and then I think it's good for Gianfranco to have a sibling.
Yeah, yeah. And
some people say makes it easier. I don't know how 1 + 1 makes it easier, but I hope it will.
But it was super important to us also, because we both grew up in a family of 4, and I've seen other families with even more, and it just feels like a really wonderful way to...
4 with the parents.
Yeah. No, it's a wonderful way to sort of feel a part of a family, as opposed to sort of like an adults and 1 child. But not to say that, gosh, I mean, we have friends who have just 1 child and they're completely happy. So everyone's got to do what feels right for them. And for us, fortunately, we both wanted the same thing and both wanted to try it just straight away. But because I was breastfeeding, it wasn't really a possibility. Do you know where you'll give birth, and are you scared after the last experience?
That's more on you. I wouldn't go crazy or go anywhere too far, especially because the due date is...
the 1st of January.
Yay! Happy New Year.
Yeah.
So it feels more complicated to go maybe in a different city or even a different country.
Yeah, because
especially in that moment, what you go 3 weeks in Switzerland.
It's so hard, yeah.
Yeah.
No, and then you do all the appointments prior, all for that 9 months with them. You're in the system, and they're following
within the Tuscan system.
Yeah,
so I would say I would try and stay within Tuscany.
Yeah, but although we did speak to some friends who had given birth in Switzerland, was it? Yeah, Switzerland. And they were just saying how it was so good, and the hospital was like a hotel, and they were so kind to them. And in case you didn't watch or didn't hear about my first experience, it was just really, really horrible. And the birth was beautiful, and I loved giving birth naturally, and
the nurses weren't
the time in the hospital.
The 3 days were a nightmare.
It was just terrible. But I think for one thing, this time we may not have I imagine we won't have the COVID rules that mean that you have to stay in another room and I have to basically go through all the contractions by myself. No.
Definitely, we know what we don't want, so we will check with the hospitals how it works and go to the one that suits us better.
Yeah, although I don't know how do you go to a hospital and say, excuse me, do you have really abusive nurses working for you?
Yes.
Really?
Because this time I would start from the one where we went and say, look, this happened last time.
Oh, you think about going back to the same one?
I'll go and speak with the head nurse or whatever, and ask and say, look, this is what happened last time. What shall I do? And if they say, no, look, it's the same. You can't come in the room. There's still rules, and I'll say, fine, we go and look for that, because within Florence there are other hospitals that have a different approach.
The difficulty is that it's like, some people might say, oh, have a home birth, but
no.
Well,
sorry.
but this is really common in the UK, in the US, even in Australia.
You would be dead at this point.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks, but no, just explain it to people, just in case they are saying, why don't you have a home birth? Because I hemorrhaged last time
heavily.
Almost died because of all the blood loss. They needed to have me in the operating room in seconds. So we definitely, we want to be in a hospital that's big enough that has
on New Year's Eve,
the doctors.
It has a cardiologist, come si dice, una sala operatoria.
An operating room.
Ongoing 24 hours. Because
but the thing is, though, that they made me fast, and I wasn't able, for 3 days, and I wasn't able to eat or drink or anything because they didn't have room in their operating room to take the balloon out of me. So it's kind of like we were at the biggest.
Everybody's hemorrhaging. I don't know.
Oh
whatever.
My gosh!
Because of this previous experience, I wouldn't want to have a home birth or even a private hospital, because the private hospital hasn't got surgeons and on call in minutes. They are maybe at home opening their champagne on New Year's Eve, and they get a call and like, oh, we need you at the clinic. When that night was really scary.
I think though, in terms of, some women talk about, particularly if not, I guess all women have pain, whether they have an epidural or a cesarean or whatever, but some women say they're more scared the second time. But I never felt scared of the actual process of giving birth. I felt excited about it, and I still feel that way now. I felt really in control of my body, and I felt really excited I was just preparing for it mentally for so many months, and it felt excited to be then. This is like the Christmas day, and you get to open up the present. So that felt good.
You're actually producing the
I'm happy. But the contraction part, I mean, gosh, even if they can just allow you to be in there, or even just anyone, any other human being, like not leaving me completely alone, that would already make it 100 times better.
We were a bit naive on that first time. We won't be as...
But what could we have done? It was COVID. They wouldn't have let...
Now we go there and say, okay, how does it work? And if they say, no, you have to wait out, then we go to another hospital.
Yeah, but not while we
will do it.
We asked before,
not in the moment.
Okay.
Can I come back? No, okay, just another one.
You scoop me up.
Otherwise I will have to learn how to deliver in the car. No, this is something that will happen in the next couple of months. Obviously. Yeah. So we already know what's happening.
But I think as well, like Guido, you were so... Neither of us knew what to expect, and you were so... fundamental at the final stage when they finally let Guido come in and the baby was being delivered, and Guido was holding me in different positions, and that was I think this time you'll know what's coming, and that will probably be...
let's say that's not the important part. The important part is
for me it was.
But obviously if that in a bad experience that was the minimum that happened, I'm sure it will happen again. What I mean, it's important that I can help in the other steps of the process.
Sure.
And if some nurse is not polite, be there and fight back.
I think...
In that period, other friends of mine had children, not giving birth, che sono nati lì,
they were born there.
That were born there.
Yeah.
And they all had an awful experience. 2 weeks ago, one of my best friends had his son born there, and he said it was amazing. So I hope it was just the long consequence of COVID that was very heavy on all sanitary people and stuff like that. But as I said, we know what could happen, and we will make what is possible to avoid it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go crazy and going somewhere crazy around the world. But this is obviously something that can change or whatever. I'm sure everybody will have
an opinion,
and a suggestion on that. And
actually,
not?
And since I shared that video, which so many people responded to, and it was overwhelmingly supportive. I was, and nurses as well, saying, gosh, I feel on behalf of my industry, this is absolutely horrible what happened. And it was so comforting. But then also there were lots of stories from different places in the world saying, yeah, this happens here too, and so somehow I think that it's not just something that happens in Italy. I think Poor treatment in a hospital can happen in Australia, and I have friends who have had terrible experiences, and it's just particularly with pregnant women. I don't know why.
It's really, and it's actually then now, but in our experience, there was a male nurse that was very kind, and there were some female nurses that were not empathic. So I'm like, I would assume that a male is less empathic with a pregnant woman rather than a female, but we don't know why it went like this.
And then I don't know if I spoke about it, but then there was that case a few months or after, where in Rome, where that woman was so tired, and because, like I said to you, they don't give you any support the
husband wasn't allowed in.
The husband wasn't allowed in,
the mother or
and
the sister.
They don't help you if you're like, if you've had some kind of surgery or something, or you're with me with a blood transfusion and you've hemorrhaged and you can't pick up, you're too weak to pick up your baby. And anyway, she was trying to do this, and she was so tired from having to take care of this child all on her own while she was still in the hospital, with no help from the nurses, that she fell asleep while breastfeeding and suffocated the child. And this was there was a huge sort of reaction in Italy, because it's just so horrible to go through all of that, and then to have and then because you're just absolutely exhausted and you have no help and you're not allowed to have any family member in, then you end up killing your own child. It's just disgusting. So yeah, when that happened as well, I just thought, okay, well, that happened in Rome, and
in a big hospital, but a good hospital. So it means that it's a sort of new protocol that new mothers have to have the newborns next to them in this little side bed and sort of learn how to manage it on your own. I think it's a good idea, but not after you just delivered. Maybe you take a day to deliver, and what you do, and then you can't sleep because you have a screaming.
Yeah.
So that's
or just if they just could have that, but just have, when you call a nurse, that there'd be enough staff on call to
whatever.
To come.
We will do what's possible to avoid that situation, and then I'll be
honestly,
more firm next time, because then we learned that there's actually a new criminal offense that is obstetric violence in Italy. Violenza ostetrica. So we didn't pursue to file a
I know, and then people are going to say, why didn't you do that? Because I should have done it for other.
It's like a rape. It's because you don't want to live in the first.
But what about the other women? Like the other women that came after me that were delivering, you know.
That's true.
Like it's not just about us. It's about like saying for them, so that the other women didn't find those horrible.
A friend of mine had his first son delivered like a month and a half before.
Yeah.
And he told me that if he had seen the sort of head nurse or one of the nurses, that all the nurses of that ward, he would have run over her with the car. So I'm like, okay, but no one pursued. So that's wrong. It's like if someone is doing something abusive, and you have to stop it. So yeah, bad on us. But
no, I looked up on the website. I was trying to look up how to do it, but I don't know how to.
No, you get a criminal lawyer, and I asked some lawyers that I know, but at the end we didn't do it. And
but then the thing is, it's like you're trying to then
informally complained with doctors that I know in there, and they were like, "Oh no, it's not possible." And I said, "Yeah, it's possible." So whatever. Next question.
Okay. Are you worried about having a newborn again and the lack of sleep?
No, we're trained.
Yeah, we're ready. We're strong. Actually, it's something that I think a lot of you, I mean, particularly with the last week's video with the Greece holiday, a lot of you were saying, oh gosh, you know, there's so many people, some people trying to give us different things and about what to do with the sleeping. And look, it's something that actually has made us stronger. I think you and I have really approached it as a team, and obviously not always well. Like sometimes we've been totally exhausted and just feeling weak and irritable with each other. But now we've got to a point.
The second one always sleeps, so I'm just praying for that.
Yeah, and I do think that this is a part of being parents, and we're just always keeping it in the bigger picture of like, okay, well, so many people don't have the opportunity to have kids. What are we going to complain about sleep deprivation when so many people would just long to have one child? Like,
or also one just thinks, oh, it's such a blessing to have Gianfranchino and so much joy that that's the byproduct. And then, the cost of that, and it's obviously worth.
And then I feel like, sorry to say, but I feel like every parent seems to have something that they struggle with. Like, for example, lots of women have mastitis and so much trouble with breastfeeding, or they can't breastfeed, or the milk doesn't come in. For me, it was
some kids don't eat.
It was so easy for me. And Gianfranco just eats everything. He eats vegetables, everything. He feeds himself. He's so easy with that. So we have it so easy in these ways. And yeah, okay, the sleeping thing has been a super challenge. But also regarding the Greece thing, yes, I'm not routinely dry nursing him. It's only when I can tell when he's in pain, because he'll sort of latch on and then he'll be so content and then he'll scream out in pain and, you know, release his mouth from the nipples. So I know that it's not just wanting to breastfeed, it's like that he was in pain, and I think it's because he had the teeth coming through. And one thing to remember is, when so many of you are so kind and leaving comments, but when you've been dealing with a child, any issue of a child for 6 months or even a year, or it's in our case a year and a half, you've Googled everything, you've spoken with everyone, you've spoken with multiple doctors, so much of what you were saying, we definitely took on board, but we had already tried it, experimented with it, considered it, spoken to professionals about it. So I think that when you have something that is in your life every day or every night, you're going out and doing research and speaking with doctors, obviously. So that's what we've done, and we did try some sleep training. We read this book, The Happy Sleeper. We went into all of that. So no one, I think, if you're
for some weeks, and then he had tooth, and then he had stomachache, and then
he had constipation,
and then the night he slept.
We even spoke with a baby sleep trainer person. She said, I can't help you. I think you need to sort out his digestion problems first, which we did with probiotics and stuff like that. So, you know, I think these days parents are so lucky to have so many resources, and you're not just sitting around guessing and asking the person next door, do you want a boy or a girl?
Whatever, as long as it's healthy. But if it's a female, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Okay. But obviously, if healthy is the first thing.
Yeah. And then a sleeper.
Yes.
Healthy, a sleeper.
Sleepy. Then obviously, whatever it is, and I'm happy both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be nice to see how things are different with a girl, because I've had a lot of people say that it is quite different raising a boy and raising a girl. And
now we are trained on a male. Let's
go strong on what we know. Yeah, but we also have, we just had these friends for lunch on the weekend, and they have a boy and a girl who get on so well, and just
twins.
They are twins, yeah, and they get on and they play together and everything. And then other people who have two kids of the same sex who don't really connect at all. So I think you can't. It just sort of depends on the character of the children. You know, don't you think, in terms of whether they'll get on? Like,
I'm sure they will get on.
Yeah.
Let's put them together. Arrive to that point, and then.
Yeah, it's like if you're growing up in the countryside. It's like, this is the only choice you've got.
We put them in the pen and say, "Have fun."
Do you have any names?
Not really. No. We spoke once about names, but we spoke once.
Yeah, but we're not sort of people who have like, I've always wanted this name. We were even struggling with Gianfranco, and then, you know, it was meaningful to Guido to call him after his father. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, I think we would probably like it to be an Italian name, or one that can be pronounced by Italians, because the child will be growing up in Italy. So. Do you think?
Yeah, it becomes a bit confusing to be called a name that it's not translatable in Italian.
Will Kylie's parents be here for the birth?
Yeah, I just took their passports.
So they've been in Mallorca with my sister, and they're about to leave for Australia. So we'll be without them for the summer. I think maybe they're coming back later in the year. Which would be amazing, and
they should be here for the.
Oh, well, I think they'll definitely be here for the birth. Also, because you don't know really. You don't know what state I'll be in, and so I think it's the most important thing to be near support, and you may not have it in your parents or your in-laws, but you may have it in a friend, or you may have it in knowing that you live in a city where you can have like a mother's support group or something like that, or I don't know.
Not being alone.
Yeah, well, I just think it's so, like, I was speaking with different friends, and, you know, talking about where you live and what's important, and I really want to live where I feel inspired, or I really want to live where it's good for my partner's work or something. But I think the priority should just be live where you can get some support, because you can be living in the most beautiful place, but if you don't have the support as
your little community.
Yeah, or I mean, a community would be great, but I mean, for most people, it's just like having one other person. You know, like my mother is really crucial. I mean, she's just so good with Gianfranco, and she's given us so much help, and my father as well, but mostly my mother. And you don't see her much because she doesn't like to be on camera, but she's just so good with him, and she's...
That's why it's possible other people are on camera, because she's with Gianfranco.
Yeah, exactly. I know that we're very lucky, and
we also tried our best to make it possible.
Yeah, we really sort of engineered everything around being close. I mean, this is part of the reason that Guido has been commuting every day for 3 years. How long have you been here?
Not every day.
Oh, no, sorry, not every day, every week. And how I'm like doing nights alone without him and all of this stuff, because we want to live somewhere where we could have my parents stay on the property. And it's just been a priority. And I think as well, like for some people, like I don't live close to many friends here at all, really, which is a disadvantage. But then the advantage is that it's just so much natural space, which is so great for having a child to run around in, and we have the possibility of my sister and my parents coming to stay. So that's been fundamental. And I think if anyone is thinking about having a family or trying to work out where to live, it sounds lovely to say, oh, I want to live in this city, or I want to change and go somewhere where that's my dream place to live. But really, I don't know, it's just my opinion, but I think the important thing is to be near support, and whether that's a best friend or a grandmother or a whatever, don't you think?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity and blessing to have the possibility of being close to the grandparents. For him too, he loves your parents because he's...
Yeah, but
and also when he sees my grandparents that are 2 hours away, every couple of weeks he sees them, and he's happy. Nonna, Granny.
Yeah. What do you think will be easier this time?
Both are more prepared of what will happen and ready to face it without... Just learn that comes first, and you can't expect doing other things when you're doing that. That's my main lesson. So at the beginning I was trying to do my old life and trying to help you and be a father. That's not possible. That comes first. And once you understand that you shouldn't be frustrated because you can't do both things, but you need to prioritize being a parent, that goes much easier. You just accept it, and then it's fine. So that's, for me, it's the easy. I think for that it will be easier for me.
Yeah. And I think also, I mean, it took us a while to work out just how you program your day, you know, especially when you're both working. But even if you're not, I think one of the things that we talked about with, our psychologist who we speak to every couple of weeks, is that like Guido would come through the door exhausted after a long day, and I've been with Gianfranco and I'm exhausted, and you're both meeting. And I think this is something that's common that parents have, is you both crash into each other and you're like, I'm tired too. And
on two different modes, but both wanting to sort of relax or
both trying, but it can feel like not that the other person isn't trying, but that you're the only one who's drowning. And it's a great thing that we've sort of worked through that and worked out that, okay, like it's just a matter of sitting down and being like, we're both in this, we're both doing so much, and we're doing different things, and it's never going to be exactly the same. But I think we've worked out a good harmony now, haven't we? And we sort of know how
definitely improved, and I think it's something that one has to work on, and having help is because sometimes probably it's simply impossible.
Yeah.
Because if both work and there's one or two kids that are screaming or needing to be looked after with 100% attention, it's practically impossible to both work and someone else without someone else. So,
but or even not the working, because even if I'd had a day where I was just focused on Gianfranco, and it's
that's
just
a word, obviously
that's so much work, and if anything, it's for any parent or mother who's just alone at home all the time with a child and not working. I mean, I'm fortunate that I get to do some work because it's a different, I can shift into a different headspace, and probably that's incredibly healthy for me, or just for my mental health. But, for someone who is just having to do all of that and never getting any respite or just to be able to shift, I think that must be so hard. And
what was the question?
Oh, what will be easier this time? And then also, and then what will be harder?
What will be harder? I don't know. If things go like hopefully he or she is healthy, it can't be. I don't want to say it can't be harder, but I think. Nothing. If it goes like this, why it should be harder?
Well, I mean, I think just physically the fact that, like, if one of us needs to sleep, the other takes the child. If you've got to take two children.
Gianfranchino will have to sleep. He will be 2 years old. So
no, but I mean, during the day, if like someone needed to have a nap and someone's got to, how do you? As
I said, I will rip your parents' passports. It's very easy, and drill holes in the wheels of the car. if you need a nap, it's no, I'm joking, but. Being organized, we will have to be organized.
You're right. And I think as well, like,
and don't be angry if the other person is sleeping because the other person is sleeping because he or she needs it. To be then helpful. So if one is, it's like in a war. If someone is on guard or on watch, and the other people are sleeping, the person that is on watch shouldn't get angry to the other ones. Because they are sleeping to then give the change. It's a bit...
I should just say this video is kindly sponsored by BetterHelp, and you've all probably heard me speak about this sponsor before. It's the only sponsor I've ever taken on. They offer online therapy, and it's super convenient because you can video chat, you can call, you can message in between sessions, and they let you change free of charge if you don't click with your therapist. So you just click a button and say, I'd like to try someone else, and that is possible. And it's, I think therapy, if you're a parent, can be a really important time in your month or your week when you can just go through everything that's been happening and say, what can I change here, and speak about it with a professional.
And then it's online, and honestly, initially I thought that one should be face-to-face. But I think the possibility of online is working for us.
Sure.
And especially if you don't have time, if you have kids that you can't leave anywhere, so it's even easier and immediate. You just even do it with your kid there.
We don't have any time during the day, so the only option for us for therapy was at 9 o'clock at night, and we obviously have to.
How can you drive to wherever our therapist lives?
No, and we have to, and we do the therapy with the little radio so that we can hear if Gianfranco wakes up, and so for us, we have a psychologist that I just happened to find before BetterHelp contacted me, so it's not through BetterHelp, but the BetterHelp has over 30,000 licensed therapists, and they really make it very easy if you're in a position like us where you're struggling.
If you are in an area that hasn't got big numbers of psychologists,
exactly.
If you are speaking a different language,
yeah.
So it makes it very immediate and easy.
If you would like to take advantage of the 10% discount off your first month that they are giving my viewers, click the link in the description box below, betterhelp.com/Kylie. And the last question, how has the first trimester been? These are the videos I've been pregnant and trying to pretend I'm feeling normal to you and to our son. It has been exhausting. Nausea before every meal, forcing myself to eat a dry cracker when I feel like vomiting, a lethargy that hits me like a drug and I feel like I just want to collapse into bed after breakfast. It's so difficult caring for Gianfranco while feeling like you haven't slept in 100 years and also being up all night with him. But fortunately, I've been able to swim every day of my pregnancy. I also walk Gianfranco 2 hours total every day in the pram over hills, and that's a great workout. Obviously, I was quite active before the pregnancy, so my doctor said to just keep up the exercise I was doing. I just have to be careful now about the extreme heat we're having in Italy because it can make me feel like fainting if I get overheated. I'm so lucky to be able to still eat all the healthy things that I enjoy normally, so that's a great blessing that I haven't had to really change my diet at all, aside from cooking meat a little more and not eating raw fish. The first trimester for me has been such an endurance test in patience. It's such a bizarre predicament to find yourself in. Like, you have the potential to have the most exciting news of your life, and yet you're told that you can't actually believe it for 3 months. And every hour of that 3-month period, I have been just hoping and wishing and unable to be distracted by other things.
Every day I'm like looking at the calendar and just thinking, okay, now I'm at 10 weeks, now I'm at 11 weeks, now I'm at 11 weeks and 2 days. And it's, I've heard some mothers say that, you know, when you have a toddler, you're not as focused as, because this is what it was like in the first pregnancy for me too. But I'm not. It's, for me, it goes so long, and I have to be so patient because I'm just anxious to get to the point where I have the tummy and I feel that it's all viable. So the first trimester is awful, and then you feel bloated. You feel like you don't fit into your clothes, and but it's also, I guess, a time of great hope, and you start with each day, you just think, oh yes, I didn't have a miscarriage today, and it sounds flippant, but the truth is that you just live like that. And I lived my first pregnancy like that too, even though I'd never had a miscarriage, because I just felt like, you hear, I have so many friends, and you hear that like 1 in 4 women have miscarriages. So I felt like I was just super aware of that, and unfortunately, yeah, we've made it now, and to the second trimester, which hopefully will go well, and I feel so happy now that I can look forward to hopefully some energy coming back, and also being able to be more honest with you about what I'm feeling. And our plans now are say goodbye to my parents,
survive summer, and then we will get back on track in September.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So thank you for sharing this exciting time with us. And if any of you have multiple children, please do give us some advice on how to go through that, how to navigate that, and how to probably ease Gianfranco into the idea that he's going to have a sibling. I'm sure that there are lots of things you can do, and I would be open to your suggestions. No?
Yeah, I definitely will be jealous of many things. So, or not, I don't know.
I don't know, but he is very generous. Like now, when he eats, he's so just
hungry,
excited. He loves food. He's just like us. He's so excited about food. But even when he's so possessive about his food and everything, he always offers some to me or Guido or whoever's sitting near him. And then it actually gets quite insistent. Like he wants us to share in what he's eating. He's like, babu, and you have. So I hopefully that's a good sign that he wants to share with us. I don't know if he'll want to share with but Yeah,
we will see.
We will see. We will see. But thank you very much, and yeah, let's hope for the best. No? Ciao.
Ciao.
Alla prossima.